fortunate to have with us to brief us on this, Laziz Kudratov. Now, Mr. Kudratov is, interestingly, he is the second member of the panel here who's had part of his education in Japan, a country which, by the way, is just been there. It's greatly intensifying its engagement with Central Asia as a whole. He served in the Ministry of Foreign Economic Relations, and then briefly was head of working in the area of public information, international information on investments. He served as a Rumsfeld Fellow at the Central Asia-CAUCASUS Institute, so he's a proud alumnus of that program, and we're very proud of him in that capacity. He comes before you now as first assistant chairman of the State Investment Committee.
Thank you very much, Dr. Starr, for that nice introduction. It's really a great pleasure for me to be back here and to see my friends and to share some new developments in Uzbekistan in economy, what we do to attract investments. As Mr. Kurmanov mentioned, that without investment we will not be able to achieve sustainable development of our economy, to ensure its competitiveness, not only in the regional scale, but in the world scale as well. So many of you know Uzbekistan. On that slide you can see some facts in terms of territory and population. Uzbekistan is comparable to the state of California. Many of you know that we are rich in natural resources, oil and gas, gold, uranium, copper, and we have a very fertile land, and which allows us to yield multiple crops, fruits and vegetables. And today, taking this opportunity, I would like to share with you and cover three main topics. Is why invest in Uzbekistan today? Why Uzbekistan is the right country for business? I'll also highlight some information about our current economic cooperation with the United States, and then we can also discuss the avenues for our continued cooperation in trade and investments. So Uzbekistan is an attractive investment destination because of the business climate is rapidly changing and because our economy is growing fast. On the business climate, our president has named FDI attraction as a key priority for the economy. Our committee, which I represent today, was established exactly for this purpose. We are focused on economy liberalization. It was mentioned today that the currency exchange and profit repatriation is already fixed. We also created a set of attractive incentives for foreign investors, and this is not just words. Uzbekistan improved by 60+ points on World Bank Doing Business report, and we keep on working on it. On the economy, we are one of the fastest growing countries in the world with diversified economy, and we have, as I mentioned, abundant natural resources and labor resources. In fact, we are third largest in that terms in CIS. Our president takes economic development and liberalization very seriously and included it in our strategy. The key areas cover foreign exchange stabilization, modernization, and technological advancement of our industry, tax system update, and financial system development. All those would not be possible, of course, without FDI attraction. Uzbekistan used to be associated with strict currency outflow. We have abolished this. There are no more constraints for the businesses and foreign investors. Starting September 2017, all those issues have been solved. let me share with you some examples. In the past, Uzbekistan exporters were required to sell a quarter of its hard currency revenue to the government. This is no longer the case in Uzbekistan. The revenue you earn is yours, and it's up to you how to use it and where to use it. Exchange rate to the US dollar was kept and was set up by the government. This is also no longer the case. The exchange rate is now determined solely by the free market. Profits repatriation and the amount of the foreign currency that could have been bought was restricted. This is also not the case any longer. You can buy as much as you need, and at the free market exchange rates as well. Our government believes in the free market economy, and we are adjusting our legislation accordingly. We have created attractive incentives and free economic zones in Uzbekistan, and we have relieved the tax burden on the businesses from effective 45% to less than 30% in the GDP. And practically it means zero VAT to foreign companies and zero income tax for foreign investors who participate and who establish facilities in free economic zones. So far we have attracted $500 million of investments to the zones, and foreign investors, apart from the preferences which I mentioned, also enjoy simplified customs procedures, and they are also exempted from social taxes and some contributions to the road fund and other areas. Our new economic policy seems to be working. At least the World Bank, as I mentioned, has sees a 60+ improvement in the ease of doing business in Uzbekistan. In 2012, Uzbekistan was below Afghanistan and Iraq and was a little bit better than Zimbabwe. Now we are close to China, and we are in the league of Vietnam, Indonesia, and Qatar. And in fact, Uzbekistan has a better business climate than India, than Indonesia, and Kuwait. We really want to do business, and we really want to have environment for the businesses, and not to force them to do paperwork. That's why we have eliminated more than 160 licensing procedures and activities for the businesses, and we are working hard on improving our business climate, and we have set an ambitious task to get Uzbekistan into the top 20 countries in terms of ease of doing business. Uzbekistan is also one of the world's fastest growing economies. We used to be in top 5 in the world, and are expected to be in top 3 by 2020. This is far beyond the growth that can be captured in Central Asia, not to mention the more advanced economies. Our economy is well diversified. Oftentimes investors believe that our economy is correlated to Russia and to CIS region, but facts do not prove this. For instance, there was almost no impact of sanctions imposed to Russia to our economy, and our GDP has kept 8% growth without any dips. So investors usually describe the region as post-Soviet region, which is true with respect to economic, cultural, and language proximity, and with respect, of course, to the free trade agreements. If one takes into account Uzbekistan goods can have access to the market of 280 million people. This is the size of Brazil and Indonesia, and a little bit less than the US market. Our workforce is the largest in Central Asia. It's, by different estimates, is around 14 to 18.5 million people. This is almost 40% of all Central Asia workforce. They have 97% literacy rate on par with Singapore and above most upper middle income countries and way beyond the world's average. Uzbekistan is a very stable country both politically and economically, and the reality is much better than the outside in perception. In politics, politic-wise, we didn't have any significant crisis or political unrests in the 26 years of independence. And we also have very healthy monetary policy, macroeconomic situation. Our external debt doesn't exceed 18% of GDP, and our internal debt is equal to 0. So, next slide, I'll talk you and highlight our relations, trade and economic relations with the United States. Next, please. So, to date, we have 164 enterprises with US capital in our market, and 122 joint ventures, and 42 enterprises with 100% US capital. They operate in different areas, in oil and gas, in mining, in pharmaceutical industry, in trade, and transport sectors. Here you can see some logos of the companies, the GE, Boeing, Honeywell, Coca-Cola, CNH, and all of them are very active, and the recent business forum in September this year showed the great interest of US businesses to expand their presence in Uzbekistan, and we also saw new companies that are interested in our market, and that shows and proves that there is a substantial room for the growth of trade and economic cooperation between our countries. So what we can do in the future with US companies, and we invite businesses to participate in over 600 projects with total value of $9 billion US. Most of the projects are in metals and mining, textile sector, tourism, construction, and other areas. And overall, we are actively seeking FDI to untap the existing potential in our economy. So here, for investors for foreign companies, our committee can serve as a assistant, so we can help and solve issues that foreign companies may face on our market. So we stand ready to support and to provide necessary assistance to the US companies. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.